spray. Why would you?
Definitely top 10 on the list of things that one should never exclaim to their pet, right? Can we just be in agreement about that? Maybe. Anyway, greetings, friend. I know you literally haven't heard from me since last year, so let's just get right into it. This month I decided to do my January 2023 bullet journal setup with the theme of 333 Blob Cats. What's a blob cat, you ask? Well, you'll see soon enough, or if you are fortunate enough to be blessed and have seen Shada Campbell. Oh god, I may have mispronounced her name. Is it Campbell? I think that's how normally it's pronounced. But anyway, she did a video where she painted like these blobs and then she drew cats over them, and she only did like 4 or 5 or something like that, but of course, I had to look at it and go, why not 333? So, yeah, that's what's going on here. Basically, though, cats and the number 3, they are two of my favorite special interests. I guess on the subject of special interests, I have to give you guys this disclaimer. I am actually diagnosed autistic. I was diagnosed at the ripe old age of 29 in 2016. I guess if you really want to, you can do the math and figure out my age now, but why would you? Does it matter? Age is just a number, right? Anyway, so this is something that I kind of want to talk about on my channel sometimes, but I don't want my entire channel to be about it per se. However, it is a part of who I am, so it is gonna be a part of the channel, like, no matter what I try to do about it. And it's definitely not something I'm ashamed of. And I just think that it's really good to have other autistic voices out there as well, just sharing their voice and interest on the internet. I see a lot of autistic channels that are just like educational, but I don't know if that's really what I'm going for per se, but I do have a lot of struggles and challenges that I go through due to my autism and also ADHD. It's a very wild combination. It just is what it is. And what I want to do is help other people that may be in a similar position to me with ways that I found to cope with it. I guess cope with it is like a horrible way to put it, but I can't think of another way to word it. Just basically how I live my life and attempt to function as a person. So that is part of the purpose of this channel. I guess to explain a little bit about why this video is so late though, I had it probably about 60% done, and then I'm just going to spare you the details, but I had to go back and do something to the video toward the beginning, and somehow all the tracks just kind of got merged together to where they were actually out of order and they were kind of fading over each other. And I don't know if I was just learning the program or if I need to blame Mercury in retrograde, or as I have coined from Chloe Taylor, Mercury in Gatorade or in the microwave. That's typically how I like to refer to it. It sheds light on it. But anyway, yeah, I don't really buy into the fear-mongering of Mercury in retrograde that you'll hear a lot of the astrology community doing, and I think a lot of people outside of the astrology community, simply because they hear about it so much, so they're kind of familiar with the term, but this was definitely a mercurial problem because it dealt with technology, and I guess I'm still learning astrology, so I'm no expert, but yeah, Mercury was in the microwave, and then it microwaved my video and my soul, and now I'm 3 weeks late uploading, and I guess if I'm gonna be any number of weeks late uploading, might as well be 3, right? Since I love the numbers so much, right? But anyway, I guess due to that, the editing in this video is not good. Toward the end it gets better, but after what happened to me at the start there, it was I was just kind of like, I gotta leave well enough alone, and this is only my third video and it doesn't have to be perfect, so you'll kind of see an evolution of editing in one video, and that's really special. And this is where you can see me just really struggling trying to remember how the lines were supposed to go. So the truth is, I actually had everything sketched out before I went on with this, but I just erased it way too well for this page. Like, this was a horrible mistake. I'm even flipping back at the last theme that I didn't do the tracing paper trick. Like, that was back in November, and that's what makes all this struggle even sadder, because I did this in December. Like, that's why I was like, why don't I just do the tracing paper trick again? Because I did it already, and it was very recent and relatively successful, but not this time. But it did give me an opportunity to show you guys at least some of how I measured out the tracing paper and how I cut it. Because I realized I probably should have shown at least some of how I did that on camera, except with the exception of this. I basically had everything pre-cut. So, yeah. Part of my idea about this video, though, I'm actually, since there's so much that there is to watch, I'm actually going to take this chance to perhaps maybe introduce myself a little bit better and talk about my future plans for this channel, because I was going to do an intro video where I show my face and everything, but I'm going to be honest, I'm just not ready for that yet. Just looking at myself in the camera is just really awkward. It's kind of like, is that what people see all the time? Like, what is going on? And I remember reading something about how most people don't really like their own pictures because they look like something that's like out of place, like in a group photo, for instance. So in a group photo, when you're looking at everybody else in the photo, they look normal to you, but when you see yourself, it's almost like something that's out of place, like it's almost alien to your eyes. You're just like, that doesn't belong there. It's just, one of my goals for this year is definitely to step out of my comfort zone anyway, but it's just as it is right now, I don't have any footage that I can use that for, unfortunately. But the initial plan when I wanted to make a YouTube channel was to create some vlogs, so there's going to be some vlogs. I'm just going to have to suck it up and have the nerve to show myself eventually, because it's almost impossible to film a vlog without showing at least your body. And I guess some people have the comfort of, oh hey, I don't want to show my face, but at least I look like a person physically. But I don't feel like I have that luxury, to be honest. I have a lot of body insecurities, so it's a challenge. As you can see, I kind of just like completely messed up here, and that's just a mistake I'm gonna have to live with for the month, because I couldn't rip this page out. Yeah, I mean, I tried, but this attempt to salvage it was just very tragic. It is what it is. We sometimes we draw lines that aren't straight with rulers, and then we just move on with life. If you look here, I decided to draw some cats sabotaging my calendar, because at least when I look at it, I'm like, oh look, these cute little cats, they're the ones that did it. And here I'm drawing the astrological sign that the moon is in for each day. This is a habit that I've had for, I don't even remember how long actually, but I kind of noticed that it's nice to know what sign the moon is in because it does impact my mood, which makes a ton of sense because that's literally what the moon rules, your feelings. So I noticed, for instance, when the moon is in Aquarius, I'm a lot more likely to be a total cranky pants and have a lot less patience, which is interesting because my Mars, like on my natal chart, is in Aquarius, and I know that's a sign that can affect anger. So it's just interesting to me that when the moon is hanging out with my natal Mars, that's when I'm more likely to be cranky. Almost like there's a weird connection. But I'm not an expert astrologer, as I stated before, so I don't know. I'll get there one day, but I'm not right now. On to my feelings and things page. Basically, it includes a mood tracker. A lot of times it'll have like an experiences tracker, which I'll go into more about later. But I also like to add an area where there's details for each day about my mood. I know a lot of people just do like a page with their mood tracker and that'll take like the entire page, and then they do like one line a day, and I don't think they necessarily make that one line a day relevant to their mood. But my therapist actually had the clever idea to do the details about my moods, because the fact of the matter is sometimes they're all over the place, and we like to have an idea of why I'm feeling the things that I'm feeling. I'm the kind of person that when I feel something, it's usually actually a delayed reaction. I tend to do this both physically and emotionally. I don't know if this is an autism thing. Like, does anybody else deal with this? I haven't known a lot of people that do. The few people that do, they've been on autism communities actually, so that's kind of why I thought that maybe it's an autism thing. But the point is, she said that it's important to just kind of write a detail about why or what happened that day so that I can maybe have an idea of why I was feeling something. But it's really funny because sometimes it's just not even relevant. Like, since it's so delayed, but maybe sometimes I can look back at a few days ago and I'll see that, oh, well, this thing pissed me off a few days ago, so I guess that's why I'm randomly angry today. Fortunately, I'm not really that bad anymore. I mean, by bad, I mean basically it's not a few days anymore. I've gotten more in touch with my feelings since then through a lot of work and trackers like this. So if you struggle with something similar, you might actually find this somewhat helpful. It's kind of, actually most of the time, it's not as delayed as it once was. Usually it's within the same day. What I like to do is normally I'll make a mood tracker that I can draw multiple little symbols that depict moods for each day, because the feelings do go all over the place. But for this month, you'll see later, I didn't really allow enough room for that because I thought that I would try something different. However, at this stage of the month, which is much later than when I was creating this at the time, I kind of missed the little area that I had to draw the different moods. Like, instead, it's almost like I'm rating my overall mood for the day on a scale of, I guess, a normal scale. Like, this is what normal people do. They rate it on like a scale of really sad or angry to extravagantly happy, I guess. I don't know why I used that term. I think I was trying to say ecstatic. But anyway, yeah, so I miss being able to write down like, hey, I felt some anger today and I felt some happiness, or I was overall blah, or something like that. So definitely going to do something different next month. Probably go back to my usual pattern. And during that spiel, you might have noticed, yeah, my favorite little adorable black and white fuzzy helper decided to jump up on the table and I guess just make sure I was aware of his existence. I want to say at that time he was begging for dinner, but when is he not, really? It's really funny because he normally doesn't even jump up on the desk, or at least before I started this theme, he didn't. He's done it a couple of times since, but yeah, it's just really funny. I guess he was angry I was so focused on other cats. I don't know. Clearly he knows. I also like to add an experiences tracker, which is basically like what I'm watching, listening to, or I don't know, just anything that I feel like is worthy noting for the month. And it's just a nice little page to look back on. Also, you'll notice I learned my lesson from the calendar page, so I marked little areas where each square should go so that, yeah, I won't make that mistake again. Although I don't have to draw a bunch of lines over the tracing paper again, so really a lesson learned way too late. But the takeaway, in order to help anybody who may want to do this in the future with their own layouts, just take like a color that you plan to use to draw the lines anyway, or something that's noticeable that won't really ruin the pattern, and just put dots or maybe even little lines where it should go, and you'll save yourself a lot of trouble. And now we're on to what I would consider by far the easiest page that I made in this layout. The simple reason being that I didn't bother with all the tracing paper and stuff. And the main reason for that is that this is my sleep and energy tracker. And what I do is I use I want to say a highlighter. Actually, I use these markers here. They're not really highlighters, but I use those to kind of color in the hours that I slept, and then I'll rate what my energy is on the other column. And I wasn't sure how that was going to come out on tracing paper, and I also really need to see the dots behind the tracing paper for this, so drawing cats over it would have made this practically impossible. So, I don't know, this was pretty chill, and if I were to do this theme again without a weird set number of cats to draw, I would honestly do it like this without all the tracing paper, because it's just more efficient and it was very nice for my sanity. And yeah, but the colors on the side where I put the dates, that's actually where I color in like what phase of my personal cycle I'm in, because I also like to see what my energy levels are on any given day in my cycle, because it just helps me plan things like what kind of activities to do. Mostly social stuff, because I know early on in my cycle I'll be more open to socializing and doing things with people, and later on in my cycle I just want to hole up and die slowly, or pretend to be dead. I guess play dead. Aw man, learned a magic trick. Yeah, so I don't know what's going on with this camera angle. I almost wanted to just completely cut myself doing this page at all. I'm not going to make you guys watch me draw cats off camera. That's absolutely boring. But this page was meant to record like my video ideas, and I had so many for the month, and things just didn't work out. I'm going to try to get at least one of these ideas done by the end of the month, but as it is right now, it's already like halfway through January. So I don't really see myself doing all the ideas that I wanted to do. But that's okay, because, I mean, sometimes things just don't work out how we planned them to, and that's fine. But yeah, so I have another YouTube channel. I'm probably going to do tarot readings on that one, unless I decide to do them on here sometimes. The thing is, I'm just not sure that I don't know. I feel like the things that I do on this channel and the things that I do on a channel like that would be for two very different audiences. So I don't really know if it's a good idea to combine it. But basically, that's my plan. And I also eventually am going to start doing some freelancing, so I wanted a place to write down projects for that. And yeah. I like how at the very end there I decided to straighten it for 1 second. That was great. And now it's time for a quote page. I don't really always do a quote page because it's pretty rare that quotes resonate with me enough to bother trying to put them in my journal and dedicating an entire page to it. And also, I'm kind of just very mindful about how much I use in my journal because I don't want to, at the end of the journal, be like, oh, hey, I wasted a bunch of pages on just decoration. But yeah, this quote was your soul had a dream and your life is it. And it was from one of Rebecca Campbell's Oracle decks, which I now have all 3 of. And I don't remember which one it was, but at the time I was like, oh yeah, that resonates. And now there's a part of me that's like thinking into it too much and going, does that really make sense though? It's still a nice thought and it's a sweet quote and I like it. But yeah. I'm completely mutilated the M in the poor word dream, so I had to cut up another page that I used when I did a Dutch door on a previous layout, and I just pasted it over the original word. So I barely notice it when I'm using it now. It's all I see when I'm looking at the footage at the moment, but actually when I'm using the journal in person, believe it or not, barely notice it. So it's a really good fix, I would say. But yeah, a quote page. To me, this time, it was more of an excuse to draw more cats because, as you know, I have a goal. And beyond this, I don't really have any plans for my journal besides just the weekly spreads. And this month, I didn't really feel the need to add a bunch of extra stuff to my weekly spreads. In previous months, I was adding a food tracker, but tracking my food at the moment is just not really vibing with me, so I don't want to do that. And I do have my habit tracker on each weekly spread, though, because I just find it easier to track my habits that way versus just the entire month. And yeah, I really wish I did a better job of noticing that everything was off center for this. This is absolutely just, I don't know what happened. I'm still figuring out how to shoot the camera angle, and my goal for February's layout is, or really any future art, is I'm going to be a lot more mindful and probably check this stuff before I start drawing, just so I don't sit down and start editing and be like, oh wow, this is practically unusable. I mean, that's really not to imply that I wasn't already doing that. That's why I'm just so confused about why it was so off-center. I think I kind of just worked on these pages back to back without really doing anything with the camera, and I probably bumped it or something, or moved the notebook when I started drawing and then just didn't even think about it. I was probably just way too in the zone. Silly thing I can think of. But I guess on the bright side, you can still see plenty of kitties. It was really fun drawing them interacting with each other sometimes. You see, sometimes I have them like reaching at each other. It was hard to do too many unique poses because there's only so many that you can do. And at this point, I'm over 200 cats, so yeah, that was a lot of cats. I'm still trying to figure out what was going on with the food. So this is my first weekly, and I had a lot of really random interruptions. And this night in particular, I remember I was actually kind of struggling quite a bit to get this done because I was really tired. And it's just funny how much I got interrupted. It was just the most random stuff. But I don't think I even finished the weekly in this one take. I actually kind of just finished the cats and that was it. For the night anyway. It was just, I don't know, some nights I guess we just have a hard time working on art, but I was happy that I made myself do it anyway. It was important to get it done, and progress is progress, even if it's not where you want it to be.
Baby. Vix. Again. Are you telling Mama to stop?
He most certainly was trying to tell me to stop. But, you know, the show must go on. I was determined to at least get the cats done, as I stated before. I think I should feel lucky that he allowed me to do that. I mean, cats really don't care. Like, imagine being Vix for a day. He just... he's just... Whatever, I'm gonna lay here and you're just gonna have to draw around me. And that's just gonna be your life now. I guess fortunately I got the top half of the cats done, so there was at least somewhere for him to lay, right? And I think I definitely overthought how to do these weeklies starting out. I decided at first it might be easier to try writing out the little calendar and my little habit tracker on the paper before pasting it on. But it didn't really help that much. I mean, you can still kind of see the grids through the cats, so it was completely unnecessary, and all that it really resulted in was the calendar being kind of uneven. Like when I actually pasted it on, and that bothered the probably very minor OCD part of me. And also, I graduated from the glue stick in part because I finally ran out, and also because I realized that this little liquid glue that I had, I got it from an Inku crate like way back in 2020. I don't even remember. Like, I would hope that they still have it in stock because when I run out of this glue, I'm gonna be absolutely miserable because it's probably one of my favorite and easiest to apply glues. But yeah, you can kind of see the evolution of how I found making the weekly spread, or at least found easier ways to make the weekly spread throughout the rest of this video. But don't worry, I'm not really going to sit here and make you watch me do the entire process again and again because that's really repetitive. In fact, normally I'm not sure I would have bothered filming myself doing the rest of the weeklies because I know a lot of people like to do something different with each weekly and then like post them in separate videos or something, or maybe just post them on their Instagram. But if I'm doing the same thing over and over again, I don't really feel like you guys need to see it. But I did want video evidence of me actually finishing all my cats, so there we go. Ultimately, I did find it a lot easier to just draw the glue on the paper first and then put the tracing paper on, so if you ever do this, consider doing that. It's a lot easier. I did run into an issue where occasionally the lines would, I don't know if maybe I was doing the glue too soon after drawing the cats, but every once in a while the lines would smudge a little bit. But it was only like once, and then I tried to like put the glue around the lines but then I didn't run into the problem again, so maybe it was just in my head or something. I don't really know, but yeah, there's not really a lot new going on moving forward. It's really just the same weekly. Same thing over and over again. Of course, since I did it, there was a mistake and I highlighted the wrong line for the week, so that's just me. Just me things. And we are finally at the home stretch. At this point, I decided it would be a lot easier to just draw all the cats and then do the last 2 weeklies because, once again, repetitive, and I just wanted to finish out my journal with the thought of, I have it all done, like all I have to do are these 2 weeklies. The cats, they're all drawn, so lo and behold, you get to see all the cats done at once. All in all, I would say this was really relaxing though, just the whole process. The footage was, I'm being generous when I say 6 hours. It was probably over 6 hours, unfortunately, because of all the setbacks and all the trying to figure out camera angles and random interruptions of being handed food in the middle of my drawing and cat jumping up on desk, but I don't regret any of it. It was hard to cut this down into about a half hour, I will say that. Yay! Finally done. Except not, because I have to put the papers on, but we'll just very briefly go through this again just because I feel like for the sake of completion it should be shown on camera even if, again, it's repetitive. Cody told me to not underestimate how much people don't mind watching repetitive stuff, and I've actually been thinking about it a lot lately, and on some level, I think he's right because I don't mind other people doing repetitive stuff. I think I'm just insecure because I'm creating this and I'm completely new to content creation, so it just feels completely foreign to me, and I guess I'm a little bit insecure about how much do people want to watch? And when I'm watching people do stuff like this, usually I have them on in the background or I'm doing something with them, so it's kind of like we're hanging out together. So I don't know, I guess there's something to be said for that, and there's nothing wrong with being repetitive. This is me talking myself out of thinking there's something wrong with being repetitive. And at this point, I'm just applying a few finishing touches and it's time for the flip through. I really hope you enjoyed this, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart if you actually made it this far in the video. Just be sure to head bonk the like button like the cute kitten you are, and feel free to subscribe if you like anything about what I said about the future of the channel or if you enjoy my vibe, and I'll see you next time. Bye!